Hi, my name is Terry, and you're watching Terry Tells the Story. Today, we're talking about the world's worst pirate. This is the story of Stede Bonnet. It's the ultimate cautionary tale for anyone who thinks they can just buy their way into a new life without having the scars or the strategy to back it up. He was the gentleman pirate, and he's a case study in what happens when a civilian tries to play general without ever serving in the trenches. Imagine a guy who has everything: a massive estate in Barbados, a wife, children, and enough money to never have to work a day in his life. But Stede was bored. He wasn't a warrior, he was a reader. He spent his days in his library, filling his head with stories of the high seas until he finally snapped. In 1717, he did something that no real pirate would ever do. He bought a ship. He didn't steal it. He paid for it with cold, hard cash and named it the Revenge. Then he did something even more ridiculous. He hired a crew and paid them a fixed salary instead of giving them a share of the loot. He was basically running a pirate corporation with an HR department. Stede set sail, but there was just one problem. He didn't know the first thing about navigation. While his crew was busy actually trying to survive, Stede would pace the deck in a silk morning gown reading books. He was completely out of touch with the reality of his own deck. To the seasoned sailors, he was just a wealthy lunatic playing dress-up. He managed to plunder a few small ships, but only because his crew was competent. Stede himself was a disaster. He eventually ran into a real shark, Blackbeard. Blackbeard, Edward Teach, saw Stede and realized he could use him. He didn't kill him. Instead, he invited him to stay on his ship, the Queen Anne's Revenge, as a guest. In reality, Blackbeard took command of Stede's ship and kept Stede as a trophy. Stede spent his days on Blackbeard's ship, still wearing his fine clothes, probably babbling about philosophy, while Blackbeard was actually orchestrating the blockade of Charleston. Stede was essentially in timeout because he didn't have the mental hardware to handle a real operation. Eventually, Stede got his ship back after Blackbeard betrayed him and left him stranded. Driven by a rare spark of actual spite, Stede tried to become a real villain. He changed his name to Captain Thomas and started attacking any ship he saw. But he lacked precision. He was sloppy, fueled by ego rather than a plan. In September 1718, he got pinned down in the Cape Fear River by Colonel William Rhett. Most pirates would have fought to the death or found a strategic way out. But he surrendered after a 5-hour standoff, still hoping that his status as a gentleman would buy his way out of the consequences. While in prison, he tried to write letters to the governor, begging for mercy. He didn't understand that the world of pirates and governors doesn't care about your library or your silk gowns once the gallows are built. On December 10th, 1718, Stede Bonnet was hanged in Charleston. He went to the gallows clutching a bouquet of flowers, a man who tried to play a game of monsters without ever realizing that he was just a civilian in a costume. Stede Bonnet tried to play a role he hadn't earned. He had the costume of a pirate, but he didn't have the stomach or the tactical mind. He was a man who lived in a dream, in a world, until the rope snapped him back to reality. So, the Spanish I'm going to be teaching you today is todo está bajo control. Todo está bajo control. Todo está bajo control. And what that means is everything is under control. If you like this video or you learned something new, drop a like down below. If you have a specific topic that you'd like to see me cover, drop me a comment. And if you'd like to support this work that I do, there'll be a link to the Cash App in the description box below. We'll see you next time.